Hey guys, and welcome back to Ninja Talk with the Bunny and Frog. And this week we have an amazing episode with the Lyme Ninja, Talan Yorn. We're going to talk about his whole life story, including going from being bedridden with Lyme disease to competing on American Ninja Warrior. But before we get into that, we have to shout out our amazing sponsor, Warped Wallies, who have some amazing ninja products with fun, clever, quirky designs for not just ninjas, but ninja parents and ninja fans as well. And they have an amazing collection of athletes, including the NSC Season 3 champion, Nora Brown John. Enjoy the episode.
You are listening to Ninja Talk with the Bunny and Frog. Don't forget to follow the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Also remember to leave a comment. We'd love to know what you think. New episodes monthly.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We're here with Talan. Talan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you. Happy to have you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here. I'm super happy to be here.
Awesome. Okay. So, first question for you is just how'd you first get into ninja at the very start?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, it really started for me like many, I'd say like many teenage ninjas is like seeing American Ninja Warrior on the TV when I was like a kid. Like when I was 7 years old, I saw it on the TV and I was watching it and I told my mom, I'm like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be on that show. So that was like
Yes.
that already became a dream of mine, like right there. But I didn't actually start training until about like 4.5 years ago, and I really actually got into it because I was doing sword training at this like place that kind of had ninja obstacles and martial arts, so it's kind of like a mix of things.
Oh, okay, that's
And
fun.
once I saw those obstacles, it kind of like brought me back to like that dream that I had, and I was like, okay, maybe I can like actually like pursue this. And I was like, I started doing some lessons and going to classes, and I was just like, I just like fell in love with it all over again.
That's awesome. How long ago was that?
Yeah, so that was, let's see, yeah, it was about, 4.5 years ago. It was right after I got out of being bedridden,
Yes,
because I was bedridden with Lyme disease, which is why I'm known as the Lyme Ninja.
of course.
And yeah, that was really huge for me, just getting out of that place where I was completely bedridden. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't see my friends, and I pretty much lost out on 3 years of my life. So the fact that I was able to go from that to like slowly recovering and deciding that I wanted to do like such a like intense sport, it was just so cool.
That's super sick. So you kind of tapped on this a little bit in the last question, but what inspired you to pursue ninja super competitively as you do now?
Yeah, competitively. Yeah, that's a good question. So when I first started, it was just like I wanted to just try it and just have fun with it. But then it kind of became something more. I actually applied for American Ninja Warrior Junior. I didn't get on that year, but that's kind of when it started for me because I realized that you know I could actually like pursue this dream of competing on the show one day. But it was more than just that. It was like now that I was, recovering, I could do something that many Lyme patients can't do, which is like, step out there and, basically live out, my dream of like doing the sport that I love. And
Yeah.
so because I was able to do that, I felt like it almost was like a duty of mine to like use this opportunity to not just like do something I love, but also help other people like me, which is why, I decided that every time I step onto the course that it was going to be, not just for me, but for, my mom who's battling Lyme disease and for all of the other Lyme patients who are, struggling, whether they're, sick in bed or they're just, struggling to walk or so it really felt like that was my biggest motivation to, pursue the sport competitively was
That's
for
really
them.
cool. That's super awesome. I'm happy. That makes me really happy. That's super good, Talon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just like so happy that I'm even, able to like do this because I know there's so many other people like me that just can't.
Exactly. For sure. So every time you go up to do any run, you do the Lyme challenge. So how much what inspired you to start doing this and how much does it mean to you?
Yeah. So actually, and so the Lyme Challenge has been around for a while. I did it when I was like 7. Like that's when, but I decided to. We kind of brought it back in season 17 of American Ninja Warrior. So it was actually it was kind of I believe it was my mom's idea and kind of the producers, and like we kind of came together and they were like, you should take a bite out of a lime before you run, and then Matt and Akbar will get facts about it. So that's kind of like how it came about. And yeah, so I stepped out there like my first time on the course. I'd never taken a bite out of a lime before my run, so I was actually a little nervous on like
Oh,
how that was gonna affect me. But I just did it because like to me it just represented like, I was like facing this disease like head on. You know what I mean? So I took that
exactly.
bite out of, a lime to like really represent that. And, also whenever I do that, it's like people ask about it, like, oh, like why is he taking a bite out of a lime? Or then, it gets people asking questions and things like that. So yeah, I took my bite out of a lime on my qualifying run, and ever since then I've been doing it at every single competition, and it actually helps me. So
Oh,
it almost
sweet.
feels like it's like a smelling salt. The moment I take a bite, I just feel like a huge like adrenaline boost, and like I'm just locked in.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So speaking
Yeah.
of, yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, I was just gonna say yeah. So that's why it's like it's become something that helps me, when I'm on the course, because I think it's what because of what it represents, but then also I'm building awareness at the same time.
That's super sick. Speaking of like Lyme disease and everything, so of course you mentioned earlier you were bedridden a couple years ago, but then after that you made it all the way to American Ninja Warrior, your childhood dream. How much did that like really mean to you?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's sometimes that doesn't even like feel real when I sit here and think about that, because it was just like, you know, during that time that I was bedridden, because I actually, I've been battling Lyme disease my whole life. I contracted it from my mom when I was born, and
Yeah.
but it never really got to the point like I was still able to have, you know, live, somewhat normal life and still do things even though I had, limitations and things like that. But once it got to the point where I became completely bedridden, I lost out on so much. And during that time, I really felt like, I didn't have like a purpose anymore. Like I didn't really know I didn't know what the point of like, my suffering was. I thought that I thought there's no reason for it. And, my dreams of, being on American Ninja Warrior or doing these things that I love just seemed completely impossible, which is why I actually stopped watching the show during that time when I was
Yeah.
bedridden, because it was hard for me because I knew that's something I would never be able to do. And then the fact that I was able to go, from that to then a few years later after lots of training and, a lot of hardship, and I was able to step out there and live out that childhood dream. It was so surreal. I couldn't even believe it, and sometimes I still can't. And I'm just grateful that I was able to have that opportunity, and I was able to I was able to show so many other people, battling Lyme disease, that they really can overcome these obstacles. Like I still face this disease and I still struggle sometimes, but you know, I'm I'm showing them that they can still fight this, whether it's, you know, like something like, one thing I talk about a lot is, because we face a lot of obstacles in life. Not just like, and I feel like it's so similar to the ones on the course. So, for me, one of my biggest obstacles was just getting out of bed. And I'm sure there's so many other Lyme patients that have that, same struggle. So it was just the fact that I was able to step out there. It felt like I wasn't just doing it alone. Like I was stepping out there for everybody else like me.
That's super awesome. That's really cool. So while we were in Barbados, you mentioned that you were had just finished writing a book.
Yes. So I did just finish writing a book. It is in the process of publishing. It should be done by next year. So I think that my book will be coming out next year, and it's it's called Overcome: A Lyme
Okay,
Patient's Journey to American Ninja Warrior. So I feel like overcome, like I feel like that is, I mean, that's something I feel like we do a lot, like as ninjas, is like we're
for
overcoming
sure.
obstacles. But that's like that word means so much to me just because of, everything that I've had to overcome. Like I feel like the obstacles on the course are like nothing compared to, the ones that I've had to face in my life, which is why like when I step out there I know that like I've been through harder obstacles than
Yeah,
whatever's on that course. But yeah,
100%.
so on the book, I'm really excited about it because it's about my story from to the point where it started around like when I was diagnosed,
Yes.
So it starts kind of, when I'm diagnosed with Lyme disease, and then, all of the hardship and all the struggle it
Yeah.
took to get to competing on American Ninja Wear. And there's a lot of like, it's very emotional, and there's a lot of points, like there's times where, I felt like I wanted to quit or I wanted to give up. And I just think that it's so powerful because even if you're not battling Lyme disease, I just think it's really relatable because there's so many times, in our lives that we face these things that just seem completely impossible, but
Yeah.
sometimes we can prove to
That's
ourselves
very
and to
cool.
others that it's not.
That's very cool. Everyone, keep an eye out for Overcome by Talan Yorn. Coming soon.
Yep, coming soon.
Coming soon. All right, just one or two more questions for you. So, what are some of your like goals for the future in Ninja?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I have a lot of goals for the future in general, but in terms of Ninja, I didn't get on season 18, so I'm obviously preparing for season 19. But it's always been a dream of mine to actually win American Ninja Warrior, which I mean is a huge, huge goal. But that's something that I've always dreamt of. And then I know going into this next season of NSC as well, it's also a goal of mine to try to get into top 15
Yes.
because my best NSC placement was 19th. So I think that it's
Oh,
something
so
that
that's
like
close.
is achievable, but it's still going to be really, really hard. But that's definitely a big goal there.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so those are some of the goals I'd say. I mean, there's obviously a bunch of little ones that lead up to the big ones, which
For
is
sure.
what it's kind of all about.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think we're going to wrap up now and we're going to end it with our joke of the week. Are you ready, Talon?
Oh, all right. So what is the joke of the week?
All right. The joke of the week is, how can ghosts always predict the future?
How can ghosts always predict the future? I don't know.
They check their horoscope.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's a good one.
Yes.
I literally had no clue.
That's so fun.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, of course. And then also, yeah, if any of you want to follow my journey more and know more about the book or my story battling Lyme disease, my website is lymeninja.org, and then it's just Lyme Ninja on all socials.
That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Perfect. All right. We'll let you go. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.